Hi, I'm Karis Hall McCullum. I'm sitting here with my dad, Dudley Hall, and you're joining us for an episode of Papa, I Have a Question. This is just time where I get to sit down and ask my dad questions. I realize over the years that I've been really blessed to have him as a resource, as a great theologian and a great Bible teacher. And so I've had a great resource when I have had questions in life. And as an educator, I know that if someone has a question, usually lots of people have that same question. So we're just inviting you to join us as we sit down and talk about some questions that I have. Papa, I have a question.
You know, I was thinking about, as you were talking about that, Karis, I can remember times when you go, I have a friend and they wanted me to ask you what you thought.
I still do that. I still have friends that want me to ask you things. So yeah, if you've got a question, send it to me. I'll ask Papa a question for you.
I figured you were just saying, I don't want you to think I don't already know. I'm just asking for a friend.
Maybe. Don't give away all my secrets. Yeah, I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so recently we were in a discussion with lots of people and we kind of identified one of the problems facing the church, and when I say church, I mean, Christianity at large, is biblical ignorance. And when that was spoken, it resonated. Everyone went, yeah. What is that? What does that mean? What is biblical ignorance? And why is it significant? Why is it causing a problem?
Well, the Bible is a story. Those who don't know it as a story are biblically ignorant. I don't care how many verses they know or how many times they've read it. If you see the Bible as anything other than the meta-narrative of history, of who was here first, who created things, what went wrong in the whole deal, what's the process that he's gone through of redeeming it all, and where are we all going? If you don't see that story in it, you are biblically ignorant. You're not biblically illiterate.
Okay. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, you know biblical words, you know biblical books, you know texts, you can do quotes. But the Bible is either an instruction book for you, an owner's manual for you, it's a law to you, it's regulations about life, it's a moral storybook about heroes of morality at different times. But in order to say that you're not biblically ignorant, you need to know the story that culminates with Jesus on the cross, fulfilling the promises of the Old Testament, and dying to pay the penalty of our disobedience, raising again, being raised again from the dead to start a new creation, and that's the biblical story.
Yeah.
So biblical ignorance is pretty prevalent, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting you said you either see it as a rule book or guidelines or restrictions or whatever. I think that is a prevalent way of viewing the Bible. And we live in a culture where I get to decide which rules and regulations I want to follow. So I hear people saying like, well, for me, that just doesn't apply. Or I don't feel like the consequences of that are worth me paying attention to that. But so then we've talked about this on another Papa, I Have a Question, but then I'm the final word. I get to decide what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. But if we can get that paradigm shift of it's not rules and regulations, it's a story, the story that you just laid out, then I'm not deciding what rules and regulations apply to me. I get to get in that story. I get to be part of that story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get to live in the last chapter of the story, not necessarily the last days of history,
Okay.
but the last chapter of the story where Jesus has come to make God real to us so that out of the love relationship, the unbelievable, the word chosen intentionally, it's so good, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Too good to be true.
Yeah. This magnificent love that Christ loves us with has so captured our heart that we are choosing actions consistent with that love.
Yes.
And instead of being conscious of rules of you shall not do this and you shall do that and whatever, we're doing things out of love that we used to do out of fear of getting cursed or spanked or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it becomes a wonderful book, a book of, it becomes a romance book. It becomes a book of, I have an intimacy with the eternal God who loves me more than any woman could ever love me. And it changes my heart so that I get to do what I want at the same time being obedient to God.
I love that, at the same time. I'm doing what I want at the same time as being obedient to God.
Yeah.
Way too much we think those things don't go together.
Yeah.
We think that doing what I want is the opposite of being
Right.
obedient to God. So to think that they could be the same thing, oh man, that's unbelievable. That's too good to be true.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's the gospel.
Yeah.
And
It really is that good. I think of it like, this does not do it justice, but this analogy of like when you're playing a soccer game or a football game or a basketball game or whatever, but when you're playing some kind of game, if you are focused on the boundaries of the game and the rules of the game and you can't step here and this person has to step here. And if you're focused on that, there's no passion for playing that game, right? You're focused on, I can't mess up. I have to stay in my section, and and that's not what the game is. That's not what the beauty of the game. The game is the object. The game is getting the ball into the goal. The game is the beauty of working in teamwork and everybody playing their part and kicking off to each other and, making this beautiful strategy. And in order to get there, you study the plays, you study the strategies, you study what are things that other people have done in the past, what paths have they laid for you, and in order to really get into the beauty of any type of a sporting event or game or whatever. And so I have that picture of like, okay, if it's not about the boundaries and it's not about they're all still there. The boundaries are still there and the referees are calling those, right, to make it work. But the beauty is I get to be a part of this story. I get to play my part. I get to move the ball down the field of history.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful opportunity that is. Why don't we hear more of that perspective?
I don't know. I love that metaphor. It's a great metaphor because nobody ever gets a most valuable player for staying in bounds.
Right.
It's like, hey, this guy didn't get a single penalty.
That's right.
He never stepped out of bounds.
He didn't fall down.
It's like, yay. It's like, no, he probably didn't do much.
He did not contribute.
That's right. The guy who gets the MVP is the guy who fumbled it twice, but he didn't give up. He missed the pass.
Yeah.
He jumped off sides one time, but he caught the winning touchdown to win the game.
Yeah.
He gets the MVP.
Yeah.
He failed. Baseball is even better. He's batting 250. That's not very good. I mean, he's striking out a lot. He's missed, but he hits the home run at the end of the game. It's like, we won the game, and he's the big guy.
Yeah.
So, but we see life as if God were, just concerned about the boundaries. Just, I want you to be a nice woman. Just be a nice woman. Well, I got two boys, and I got a husband, and I got a community, and I'm not always going to do it all right. So if you're going to be nice, you're not going to get much done.
Yeah.
So God he's not interested in making us all models of morality. He's interested in making us trophies of grace.
Oh, expound on that, trophies of grace.
Well, a trophy of grace means that I have failed and messed up and needed mercy, and God's mercy has come through, and He has changed my perspective. And now, when people look at me, I'm not using what I'm saying in that situation. God can look at a trophy people can look at a trophy of grace and go, wow, they messed up and God still loves them and He loves them and life is still worth living and you're beautiful. You have a fragrance of life about you. What's a fragrance of life? It means you failed and God has restored you. It means you were weak and God was strong in you. It means you were ignorant and God gave you what you needed. So you become a trophy of God's acting in your behalf, which is what everybody needs anyway.
Okay, what if I have that perspective of rules and regulations, but I'm hearing this and I go, I want the other perspective. I want to see myself as a part of that story. And I want to understand that I don't have to live just by the rules and regulations, but that I can have that life and that aroma and that, I don't want to go through the pressures and stuff that make me a trophy of grace necessarily, but I want to have that change of perspective. How do I do that? How do I get that story perspective?
Well, it is a revelation. I mean, it is something that comes to us, and you can't figure it out on your own. It is a revelation, but I think wanting it is the key. Blessed are those who thirst, for they shall be filled. So if I want that, and I can say, God, I've been looking at it wrong. Would you show me? He will.
Yeah.
Because He's eager to reveal His true nature. I mean, He's not going to hold that back.
Yeah.
The only people that don't get it are people who don't want it.
Yeah.
So, just to say, I think I see God way too limited and way too demanding. And, well, that's not true because He is demanding.
I was going to say, the rules are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. You either believe that you're doing things to try to get to God and get Him to be happy, or you believe that God has done everything necessary in your behalf, and so you are trusting another for all of your righteousness and all of your acceptance. That's the whole key.
That's the paradigm shift.
That's the paradigm shift.
Yep.
So if Jesus is righteous and I'm trusting His righteousness, then I'm as righteous as He is.
Yeah.
If Jesus is loved by the Father infinitely and I'm in Christ, then He has to love me the same way.
Yeah.
He can't not.
Yeah. Let me say this. It's possible to have that paradigm shift and to go, oh, I see it. Oh, it's so good. And then to fall back into the other perspective too, right?
Yeah.
That's why we have to keep saying it to each other. It's like, I'm focused on the rules. Why am I'm not feeling that celebration. I'm not feeling that life. I'm not feeling that aroma. Oh, I've gotten my eyes back on a different view of who God is. I'm forgetting about the whole story. I'm forgetting about the part that I play. I'm forgetting about who was sent to accomplish it for me. So we have to keep reminding each other. We have to keep encouraging each other.
Very good point, Karis, because I think sometimes we think that accountability and helping each other is me correcting you on your behavior.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? I mean, you're judgmental, you're gossiping, you're whatever. Well, that doesn't feel good for somebody to come along and tell you, you're behaving bad. When Jesus came, when He was with the disciples on the boat and the storm came up and finally they woke Him, here's what His question was. Where was your faith? Mm-hmm. What He was saying was, where are you looking?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the storm? Or are you watching me? Because if you're watching me, I'm asleep in the storm.
Lay down and take a nap with me.
I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
And I'm God.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
So I think if we could take a lesson from Him, there's like, okay, maybe it'd be okay with me to say, Karis, where are you looking?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you focused on right now? Are you seeing what God's doing here, or are you just seeing what the devil's doing here?
That's good.
Because the devil is trying to destroy you and God's trying to build you.
Yeah.
Using the same deal.
That's good. That's really encouraging. All right. Thanks for joining us for Papa, I Have a Question, and join us next time.